Just because it's not right for you doesn't make it any less valid or true. Just because it is for you doesn't mean it has to be for anyone else. In the fight for equality that we've been experiencing in the world at large and in America, we have lost this sentiment. All too recently, we have found ourselves in a position where people have gotten so used to being able to be themselves that they are now trying to force others to be like them. And that's the opposite of what was so great about America and about equality and about what we were working towards. It used to be where you could be you, they could be them. If you wanted to mix, you could. If you didn't want to, you didn't have to. And we've lost this somewhere along the way, because what we've lost is the recognition that there's a difference between acceptance and tolerance and actually taking it on yourself. Someone can absolutely accept whatever it is that's on the table to be accepted without having to take it on as their own. You can be loving and accepting of someone's choices without choosing those choices yourself. And this is something right now that we need to be aware of more than ever. Because it's one thing to fight for the equality of having your choices be your own. It is quite another to try to force other people to accept your ideals as theirs. So the other thing I want to touch on here is within this, we find ourselves in a mass censorship. Some people don't realize it, but it is. It's happening. And we need to be more mad about this than we are. And more people need to be mad about it than there are. My favorite quote is, "I might not agree with what you have to say, but I will fight for your right to say it." And again, that was what was so great about America, of all places. We had the opportunity because we recognized that it was a right, an inalienable human right, that you could say whatever you wanted and people could either listen or not. Just because you don't want to hear it doesn't make it any less true. If you don't want to hear it, stop following it. Don't listen to it. If you see it, turn it off. That doesn't mean the person doesn't have the right to put that information out there. This idea of fake news has taken over. This idea of doing things for people's protection has taken over. That's fascism. That's tyranny. And slowly but surely, it's been working its way into social media. But just because one person, one company, two companies, three companies, run by the same three people, don't like what someone has to say, doesn't mean they don't have the right to say it. Doesn't mean other people don't have the right to hear it. And so the fact that there aren't just small things, there aren't just fake news being censored, there is real news being censored. There is real information being censored. Every day. I've had it happen to myself. I have posted CDC screenshots that have been censored because they went against community guidelines or they were fact-checked. And what was fact-checked contradicted technically what was said, but that didn't make either of them any more or less true. And recently I had something fact checked where the fact check was literally, and this is why I'm so frustrated about this, literally a lie. Literally a lie. So this is why I want to make everybody aware of this more than ever right now. We can learn to be accepting, tolerant of things without having to take them on ourselves. We can learn that just because we don't agree with it doesn't make it any less worthy of being anywhere. And if we let these things now get taken away from us, even if it's not happening to you right now, who's to say it's not going to soon? Just because it's happening to the people you disagree with doesn't make it right. We all need to be more upset that people are not just being censored, not just being fact-checked, but literally taken down. I had a video on YouTube for 5 months that just all of a sudden became against community guidelines. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but I want to bring that up. That video was apparently totally okay to be on YouTube for 5-6 months, and then just magically one day, all of a sudden, wasn't anymore. It was a video I posted of someone else speaking, not myself. But still, it was massively concerning to me and should massively concern you that they have the right to censor anybody. Period. End of story. We have a right to the freedom of speech, no matter what it is we have to say. And as that gets taken away from us, we are losing our inalienable rights. And if you want somebody to be accepting of what you want to do, if you want to be able to do what you want to do, other people should be allowed to do what they want to do. With exception, of course, of things like murdering people, bodily harm, violence. There are certain things that are obviously off limits, off the table, are not okay. But with the exception of those couple of things, if you expect people to be accepting of you and your lifestyle, why shouldn't you be accepting of other people's lifestyles and lifestyle choices? Why shouldn't you be willing and able to accept that that's what they want to believe? And why should that be harmful to you? Really, at the end of the day, does it really affect you in your daily life? Stop and ask yourself that. If it weren't for all of these things on social media telling you that they're affecting people, would you notice it? Do you notice it? I want you to start asking yourself that. Do I actually notice this in my daily life? Cell phone, social media aside. If these things, if the news wasn't telling me about it, if social media, the news, if media, if the TV media, because it's not even really news anymore. Hate to break it to people. If the news media wasn't telling you, if social media wasn't telling you that these things were going on, would you be aware of it at all? Would you believe that it was going on? Are you actually seeing it in your daily life, in your world? Because that should be the number one thing that you always ask yourself is, do I actually see this in real life? That's not to say that it's not happening, but it's always a great indicator, I find. Anyway, thank you for joining me for another video. I ask all of you throughout your daily life to ask yourself as you go through life, am I expecting people to be accepting of me? And if I am I being intolerant? Am I not being accepting of others, and why? Because if I expect people to be accepting of me, why should I not be expected to be accepting of others? May the energy you serve you well, and let's keep making our way through.